From 1990 to 93, the Bills went on an unprecedented run of AFC Championship victories, appearing in a record 4 straight Super Bowls. The upcoming 30 for 34 Falls of Buffalo details that journey. With us now is a man who knows all about those historic Super Bowl runs, Hall of Famer Andre Reed. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
So, as we just mentioned, 4 straight Super Bowls, but of course 4 straight losses. Now, obviously, you've had to relive this historic run with the making of this film. Are you left with a sense of pride, or is there any shame?
I think it's 50-50 because you play the game to get to that game and win it. So every time that this comes on, you know, these games come up, it comes on every playoff season, you know, every playoff. You're thinking that ball's going to curve in there to the right a little bit or to the left, but it doesn't. You know, that's neither here nor there now. I think years ago it was more vivid. Now it's just like they really know, you know, what it took. You know, they don't know what it took to get there, but just to go to 4 and to be in that position to have a chance to win a championship, that's what it's really about for us. I mean, those guys that were on that team, and the free agency back then was not really that big, so everybody stayed together. And I think that's why we did go to 4, because we all stuck together.
Stephen A.
Andre, I'm kind of wondering, you know, it seemed to me like if you had won the first Super Bowl, all right, I'm wondering how different life would have been for you guys, because it just seemed to get progressively worse. You lost to after losing to the Giants the first time. It got worse against Washington, and then y'all got obliterated in the 3rd Super Bowl by Dallas, and then obviously there was the 4th as well. I mean, do you ever find yourself reflecting and saying to yourself things might have been different if we hadn't lost that Super Bowl to the Giants?
Absolutely. I mean, you win that one, do you go to the next one? Do you go to the next one? Do you go to the next one? Or do everybody disassembles and you never get a chance to get back there again? I mean, the question I get...
Would you take that over losing 4 in a row if you'd won the first one?
Yeah, I probably wouldn't.
No?
I wouldn't. I mean, I get that question a lot. You know, would you go to 4, or would you just win 1 and not go to any more? It's such a, you know, it's like a double-edged sword. You're going to get cut at both ends right there. So I just think that I would take 4 in a row, because that'll never be done. Anybody can go to a Super Bowl, but can you get back there? That's tough. Look at the teams now. Just to get back there, you got to go through a lot to get back there. And this is football. This isn't, you know, chess. So it's tough.
Okay, let's talk about your role in that run-and-shoot offense. And it was something to behold now. You could move up and down the football field. You were a driving force as mostly the slot receiver. But you had to go over the middle. You chose to go over the middle a lot. More, and I covered a lot of those games, more than most receivers, if not many receivers in the league. How many hits did you take to the head, and how different would it be for you today with these rules?
That's a great question. Oh, man. I took a lot of hits to the head, and we talked about this off camera. I probably had 100+ mild concussions.
Mild? I don't know if there is a mild.
I don't know if such thing as anymore. Yeah, because
Right.
yeah.
Did you say 100+?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Wow.
Listen, this man took shot after shot after full speed head shots.
I don't think I've maybe been knocked out maybe 1 or 2 games, but I've taken some hits where I've seen some, you know, some ponies, some pink ponies. But it's such a different game now. You know that. You go across the middle now, you're going to get hit, but you know, games are changed now because the flag comes out, it's 15 yards. You put a team in position to score, to kick the field goal to win the game. And the refs now they're supposed to do that. And the concussion protocol is so different now. Back then, they just give you 2 fingers and, hey, what day is it? Go back in. Now there's 5 guys on that sidelines, and you got to pass every one of those to get back in the game.
Do you regret going through that?
I don't regret it. Because if I regretted it now, I mean, I'd be lying to you if I regretted it, because it's what I chose to do. And that was part of my job. And I felt that, you know, I was going to take my job seriously regardless of what it was. And our offense didn't work if I didn't do that. So that's the mindset I had to have.
How has it left your memory now?
Well, every time I see them games, my memory's not good. You know, I have my days, and there's times where I'm not as sharp as I used to be. I mean, that's just the nature of it. And I think you can talk to a lot of players that played as long as I have, regardless of what position they played. Maybe not punter or kicker, but...
Well,
they took some hits too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Andre, I got to ask you this question.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about, former players that are part of lawsuits, suing the league with this whole concussion issue in light of what you just expressed? What are your thoughts about that?
It's an epidemic, man. It's like anything else. I think, the league has a way of doing things, and the players, feel like they're in the game and they're taking hits and they're doing all this, but they need the league's help. And just think 10, 15 years from now, all these guys that are playing now, if you think the concussion thing is bad now, in 15 years, it's going to be really bad. And I think the league has done a great job to a certain point of protecting guys. And whether or not that's going to, over 10, 15 years, it's going to be, evident, but you can see that they're trying to do it. They're trying to make it more safer.
Yeah, you say go ahead, Stephen A.
Yeah.
No, well, what you acknowledging that they're trying to do it, it also takes me to a place where I must ask, considering the rule changes that have taken place and the excessive level of protection one would surmise that are provided to quarterbacks and receivers and the like with headshots and things of that nature, every player that I've spoken to said they'd rather get hit high than get hit low, the way the league is encouraging you to do these days. Because now, you ain't going to have concussion issues, but you might have a bunch of crippled brothers walking around once all is said and done. Your thoughts about that?
And you're absolutely right. I mean, guys can't go for the head anymore, so they're going to go for the knees. And there's players saying, well, why don't you hit me up high? Well, if we hit you up high, then we get flags and everything else. But if we hit you low, we're not going to get a flag. So they're going for the knees now. And is that right? Probably not, but guys don't want they don't want to see that envelope in their locker room that they're fined, $15,000 or whatever because they hit a guy in the head, supposedly. I mean, you look at a lot of these hits, and I've watched the game, some of these hits they're legit. I mean, but if it's just a little bit off and the ref thinks it's a little bit off, here comes the flag. I mean, I even said that. I'm like, man, I'm a receiver, and I go, that was a legitimate hit. And these guys are getting flags, and they're losing games because of it.
Okay, let's go to current day here. My Dallas Cowboys heading back to Lambeau Field to the scene of the crime last year in the playoffs,
exactly.
right?
Yeah. Want
to know your thoughts as a Hall of Fame receiver on what a catch should be. How would you define a catch?
Well, Court, I mean, if you look in the dictionary, it is control, and now they say you have to make a football move. Okay, now that catch last year with Bryant, that was a catch. I think that was a catch. There's no way that the ground can't cause a fumble. The ground can't cause a completion either. I think if you have control, and he was moving forward, so he wasn't even really making a football move. And he was going to the ground, and there was nobody there to hit him, nothing. So I thought that was a catch. I think that was a bad call.
Okay, so just in general, how would you define a catch today in pro football? How should it, if you were on that committee, what would you tell them? How should they modify the language of the rule?
I think it's just control. You got to show that you have it, and it's solid in your hands or solid in your body, regardless if you put it out here or you put it to the left or right and you make a move. If you catch it and show that you have it, that's a catch.
Well said.
All the other stuff is so tedious. And this ref over here says no. This ref over here says, well, let's look at it on film, on the TV. Before you know it, it takes 10 minutes to figure out one catch. And that's really not what the game should be about.
Stephen A.
Can we transition to the Buffalo Bills playing the Philadelphia Eagles this Sunday?
Oh, yeah,
I'd like to go there, Skip, wouldn't you? Andre, first of all, I want to know your thoughts about LaShawn McCoy and some of the things that he had to say this week, because my man Skip obviously believes he needs to zero in on this game and the kind of distraction he's caused because of his obvious animus towards Chip Kelly could potentially be a distraction as opposed to a motivational tool for the Buffalo Bills against the Eagles this weekend. Your thoughts about all of that?
You know what? You still got to play football. And every week there's some kind of little story that goes on with teams and guys that is just media driven. And I think, LaShawn's a good dude. I was in training camp with the Bills this year. He knows what's going on. And he knows what the history he has with Chip Kelly and all the things that happened in Philadelphia. They let Macklin go. They let LaShawn go. They picked up DeMarco Murray. All these things that he's been trying to do there. I don't think that really has anything to do with this game this week. If he goes out and plays, and yes, everybody has vendettas, and they have, you know, oh, I'm playing my former team, you know, I want to have 100 yards, and we want to win the game. Regardless if he goes over there and shakes his hand and says, hey, man, you know, let bygones be bygones or whatever, he still has to play the game. The Bills need this game, and we know that they need this game bad because they're right in the thick of the playoff hunt a little bit. If they lose here, you know, you can maybe cancel Christmas a little bit, but he just has to go out and play. And I think he's told his teammates that. Thurman Thomas actually talked to him and said, hey, just go out, play, be quiet, don't say anything. You're going to have this, and if it's a chip on the shoulders, show it on Sunday. No segue there. Chip on the shoulder.
I like.
Yeah, no segue. Yeah.
I like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you're going with your Bills, right?
Oh, no doubt.
Oh,
yeah.
of course.
Yeah,
Of course. You already got your blue on.
I got my blue on. I'm ready to go, and I think it's going to be a terrific game. I think that's going to fuel them.
Yep.
And he's definitely going to be ready.
All right, you know what else is going to be terrific? You got to set your DVRs because you can see 4 Falls of Buffalo Saturday night at 9:30 Eastern after the Heisman Trophy presentation on ESPN. Andre, great insight. We appreciate you. Thanks for being with us here.
You got it.
When we come back, Steelers-Bengals playoff positioning is on the line in a huge AFC North showdown. We'll pick this game on the other side. Stay here. It's First Take.